Great privilege to be here. I'm going to take my time to make a pitch or two. I just want to say that I was in the 466 and I never spent a day in combat with them. I was a forward observer, and my whole time in both the Bulge and Luxembourg and in varsity was with the 513th, Company D, E, and F. I was the forward observer for the 2nd Battalion. Are there any of the boys here that were in D, E, or F?
Yeah. F Company.
Which one?
F.
F Company.
My father.
Okay. Thank you. The reason I say that, we bunked, of course, with the 466 in England, but from that point on, of course, we didn't know a lot of the guys, but they were the most splendid. And all of you that are here, I gotta say to you, I'm making this kind of pitch before I tell you about the 2nd Battalion and the city of Munster. Please continue to meet as you can. We lost Dell between a year ago and now. Please continue to meet. And when we are gone, all of you great people that have risen to the occasion, please stay with it. There are so many stories that are just heart-rending, and yet they're just typical of the kind of kids we had in the 17th Airborne Division. And there's one of the things that I hope somehow or another, some of these stories of sons and daughters and letters that were left has to become part of some big documentary, not for self-glory, but to let the kids know just exactly what it was like. I want you to try to keep pursuing that. I don't want to belittle in any fashion any other airborne unit, but we were the most underrated, and we drew the roughest assignments in the ATO. The historians that say that Operation Varsity was not necessary are crucifying every one of us. Those historians are pseudo-historians. They don't realize that, 20,000 of the airborne troops of the British and the American 17th held back some 80,000 Germans that were ready to massacre the kids coming across in the Rhine in the invasion barges. Okay. Nobody knows that. When we landed behind the lines, we set up the barrier that would not allow them to have another D-Day at the Rhine. And even Ike said it was the most perfectly executed airborne operation of the war, albeit the bloodiest for a one-day mission. It's unbelievable, fellas. We should be fighting, and all of you should be fighting to let them know that that mission, Operation Varsity, was the best planned, magnificent operation. And every one of the kids that participated knows that we're in it. You know what it was like. Just acts of heroism that were never recognized. So my plea is, stay with it. each of us had been able to do multiple things for the sons and daughters that have been hurt so greatly. And for all of you that are the Gold Star widows, the Gold Star brothers, the Gold Star daughters, please keep the crusade going. We will not sleep, honest. We will not sleep if you don't do that for us. And now I want to say something about the mission after we got on the road back to the tanks. I was hoping very much, by the way, that we would have had some members of the 761st here. Because I'll just digress and I'll not take too much time, Bill. When we were so down and out and did not have air support, did not have real artillery support, you know, it was just unbelievable when we heard tanks behind us and we said to each other, holy smokes, they've outflanked us and their armor's coming into the back of us. And then we see the 36-ton Sherman tank with their streamers, and they're coming in to lend us support. And we don't know who the heck it is, because we replaced the 11th Armored that turned tail and went out. And then this Sherman tank pulls up. The hatch opens in the most beautiful black face I've ever seen. Said, you all need some help. Oh my God. And we pointed to the ridges where everything was coming from. And they opened fire. They fought with us all the way until we made the curve and went down into Luxembourg. I met and became friends with one from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Was able to share his last years with him and was present when we honored him at Indian Town Gap when we placed him in his marker. But you know what? I so much wanted that we'd get on the back of the Sherman tanks after the troops came across safely on the Rhine River, courtesy of the 17th Airborne. Right. Courtesy of every one of the kids that died. But we didn't have that privilege. We hopped in the back of the Churchill tanks and started going towards Essen, which was our Pittsburgh of Germany. In Munster, we met a pocket. You fellows from DEF remember? Just outside of Munster, a die-hard group of SS troopers had 11 81mm ground weapons, a captured Sherman tank, and they were going to die there. We had just moved into the latter part of Munster. We had taken some eggs out of water glass, they called it, in a barber shop, and we thought we could have an egg fry. We had our 610 radio open, just about as for the first time to have something beside dried eggs and dried milk. We were going to have an egg fry, and the call came in that E Company was pinned down out there, outside of Munster. And so along with F Company, we moved out. We reconnoitered, and I was a surviving FO at that time. Of the 6 FOs that went into combat, I mean, I'm talking about the non-com in charge of the FO section, 4 were killed, and Edgar and I were seriously wounded, 100% casualties. We went out. We said, okay, Magill, you take your section and go out to the corner of the woods undetected in these huge oaks. Okay. They said, we'll move in quietly in the giant oaks, flat on our bellies, make no sounds, and you begin to give the coordinates back to Bill Smith and send out 1 round of smoke, white phosphorus, so I can mark it, make 1 adjustment, and get yourself fire for effect and wipe the whole thing out. I'm telling you something now, and John Corman, please understand, I'm not being critical. But do you know that before I could make all those adjustments as a non-com, the new major, I can still see him stand up and fire at a fleeing German in this big enclave. I couldn't believe it. My peripheral vision picked him up. And my God, when he fired that 1 shot at a visible German, they turned the 1188s and the captured Sherman tank, and they just cut us to pieces. I was able to finally get fire for effect, but it was not the kind of thing where I was going to decimate the enemy totally, but it gave a chance for the kids that were wounded and the kids that were whole to get back out of that death trap. We were laid in a farmhouse, shot full of morphine, stripped of our weapons, and we had to wait 5 hours to be evacuated, some very serious wounds. I swear, this German Frau, and I have never found her. We went 3 times to Germany, to Munster, and we never could get her. Whether she was afraid or whatever it was, because the war was very quickly over, and she should have survived, and she was just a young German Frau. I'll never get the answer to that one. Never. She could have turned us over to the SS. She would have had to walk only a half mile and said, I have 16 guys here if you want to shoot them down. They're all laid out. But instead, she made the rounds. Saw that we were comfortable in our morphine state. Asked whether we wanted coffee. Remember, they told us never take anything from the enemy. You don't know whether it's going to be poisoned.
That's right, yeah.
She gave us this coffee to everybody except those that had stomach wounds. I want to close by saying, God, the stories that have been revealed here have been just so heart-rendering. It's been so beautiful, and I just can't tell you what it's meant to me. I don't know how long each of us have to live, but let's try to perpetuate that thing that Bill has done. And God bless all of you so much. I just love you, and I thank you.